The president heading to Florida and Georgia today. Joe Biden will be heading to Michigan. Some key places that the candidates will be visiting. Tom Bevan is going to join us now for a spin on the touch screen this morning. Tom, we love doing this with you, founder and CEO of RealClearPolitics. Tom, you take a look at where the president is first heading. He should be departing the White House he'll be departing Miami next hour, heading to Ocala, Florida. This is, of course, Marion County. He's going to be spending time. You look back at the 2016 results, in a county he solidly won in the last presidential election. So why does the president want to spend time there other than just hoping for a repeat?
Well, because I think the president needs to make sure that his base is energized and excited. And in fact, the latest poll in Florida shows that he's got about a 17-point advantage over Joe Biden in terms of the enthusiasm factor, who's excited about turning out on November 3rd. And so that's one of the reasons Florida obviously critical to his reelection hopes. He can't really win the White House again if he doesn't win Florida.
You know, it's really interesting. You look at the results in 2016 in Marion County, obviously a solid victory for the president there. He outperformed past GOP candidates in that county. So to have the president spending more time there today is interesting. Meanwhile, he's going to head up to Macon, Georgia a bit later on. These are both MAGA rallies that the president is going to be holding. He's heading to Bibb County specifically. You can see it here. Blue County, Hillary Clinton solidly won in 2016, 60% of the vote there. What does it say that the president, what are we, 18 days out from Election Day? What does it say that he's spending time in Georgia this close to Election Day?
Right. Well, I mean, Georgia's one of those states that's been moving, trending more Democratic over time. It's a state Trump won by 5 points. Last time around, but it's going to be closer this time. And the polls show Biden with a very small lead now on our RealClearPolitics average. I think the Trump folks feel good about Georgia, but again, they're not taking anything for granted, and they have to make sure that they get their base turned out in a state like Georgia to be competitive with the vote that Biden's going to pick up, obviously, in Atlanta, Fulton County, and the suburbs.
And as you were talking, we show the narrow lead, according to the RealClearPolitics average, that Joe Biden does have in that state 18 days out. Meanwhile, while the president is traveling down south, and I shouldn't have gotten out of there, while the president is traveling down south, Joe Biden will head to Michigan today. His first stop, making remarks about health care in Southfield, Michigan. Specifically, he's going to be hitting Oakland County. This has become a big battleground county, Tom. What are we seeing there, and what is the Biden campaign strategy in Oakland County?
Right. Well, I mean, if it's odd that Trump is spending time in defending Georgia, Joe Biden, according to the polls, has a 7 percentage point lead in Michigan. So what's he doing in Michigan? I think the Trump campaign, I think the Biden campaign doesn't feel comfortable with the poll lead there. I think they think it's closer than that. And in fact, in 2016, Donald Trump was at 42% in the final polls in Michigan. He ended up with 47.5% in that state. So I think the possibility for Trump to overperform in Michigan is something that has the Biden campaign worried. So they're going to check all their boxes and make sure that they are locking down their vote in Michigan.
Just speaking of checking all their boxes, because then after that, he'll hold a voter mobilization event in a county just south of there, Wayne County. This is, of course, home to Detroit, Michigan. 39% African-American, includes obviously the most populous city. But Tom, what would be the strategy there? You look back at the 2016 results for Hillary Clinton. Obviously, she dominated in this county. What's Joe Biden's goal there?
Yeah, well, she dominated in that county, but she didn't have the turnout that she needed, and certainly not the turnout that Barack Obama got in those counties in 2008, but even in 2012. And that was part of the downfall of Hillary Clinton's campaign. In the urban centers like Milwaukee, like Detroit, like Philadelphia, she did not energize the African-American vote in the way that she needed to. I think the Biden campaign is concerned that Trump will do better with African-Americans this time around than he did before. And they want to make sure, again, for Joe Biden to carry those states, he's going to need to turn out African-American voters in those urban centers better than Hillary Clinton did 4 years ago.
So the trend in Michigan, you're saying Joe Biden worried about what you're seeing here. This is the RealClearPolitics average. 49.8% leading the president, who's polling just under 43%. You're saying there's worry there. Spend more time on the ground in Michigan, Tom. Final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, if they really felt that the state was well in hand, they wouldn't be spending time there. They'd be spending time in other places. I mean, this is the point of the campaign, where you look at where the campaigns are spending their time and their money. Those are the most important things that they have. And it'll tell you exactly where the race stands. And I think the Biden campaign wants to make sure. I think they're a little bit nervous about the fact that they don't feel as comfortable in Michigan as the polls suggest.
And perhaps seeing an opportunity with the manufacturing jobs in Michigan as well. You look at where they were in January 2017. The president continues to tout his case for adding manufacturing jobs, where they've actually gone down as of August 2020. They have gone down there in Michigan. You'll expect Biden to take that on as well. Tom, great to talk to you this morning. Thank you.